Welcome to this video on developing a research question presented by Academic Skills at the University of Melbourne. The research question is fundamental and a lot of people consider it to be the most important component of research. Why? Why do you think that is? Everything is focused on answering the research question. When you're thinking about your research project, your research question, consider a few questions that you can answer for yourself. The primary one is, what do I want to know? What am I aiming to find out? Are there any interesting points that come out of the data that you might have or that you're going to get? Do you understand that data? Can it provide answers to what you want to know? Will you be able to question the data, pull things out? Fundamentally, ask yourself, can I answer the question? The research question needs to summarize the significant issue that the research intends to investigate. So, what are the features of a good research question? Primarily, it needs to be relevant. It has to be an issue covered by the research. It's manageable. Keep it within scope. Don't go too large, but you can't be too small either. We'll talk more about this. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Can you investigate it? It has to be clear and simple in the sense that the readers who are engaging with the research question and the research itself need to understand what you're hoping to find out. Is it interesting? Again, in the sense that any readers who are engaging with this will be interested in that research. It's a substantial question. Is it legitimate? Is it a question, not a statement? And perhaps fundamentally, can you actually provide an answer to that research question? So again, is it investigatable? So, how do I formulate one? Well, identify the broader subject of interest that is arising out of the data, if you have the data. If it's before the data, stick with the broader subject of interest again. So for example, it might be something like cyberbullying. Research that general topic to find out what literature and what data exists already. Then, what you want to do is to start narrowing the topic by asking how and why questions around this topic. So for example, why is cyberbullying becoming more prevalent? Now, what do you notice about that question? I'm hoping you're thinking it's still pretty wide. So what we want to do is to get into something more specific, something more measurable, something like that. What are the social factors leading to the increasing prevalence of cyberbullying in young Australians? It's quite specific, it's measurable, we're looking at factors that we can investigate. So, a tip, make it open-ended enough so it can't just be answered by a simple yes or no or a simple number. Some elements to consider. The construct, what's the idea that you're investigating? Get beyond the data, don't just rely on the data, it needs to extend it. Application. Is the question broad enough to show relevance within your field? Okay, so it's not too narrow, not too specific, just to be of interest or relevance to you and a couple of other people, but to the broader academic area. And it speaks to the so what factor. When you're looking at this, you might ask yourself, so what? And what you're asking there is, why is this important? Why do I need to investigate this? Try to have an answer for that. So what's some of the sample research question language that you might use? It's grounded in the question forms. You're going to form the question around. The words like what, how, why, does, and here are some sample questions on the screen in front of you. Addressing the so what factor, at some point you'll be asking yourself or using the language which says, this shows that. Why is it important? This is important because, this is significant because, this points to, this suggests that. And that type of language helps you get to the so what factor behind this, the why is this important, okay? Interpretive so what language should always appear somewhere in academic discourse. Whether it's at the point where you're questioning yourself why it's important, or when you're doing the writing, explaining the rationale for why you're doing that research or what it means. So, a process. Determine the broad topic, we've talked about that. Draft a research question. Then, a crucial point, out of the research question, form a purpose statement which says why we're investigating this. It'll be something like, the purpose of this study is to investigate, determine, establish, and so on. It's a purpose statement. And then out of the purpose statement, you might need to revise your research question. Okay, let's make one. I hope you're familiar with the classic English language joke of why did the chicken cross the road, because that's what we're looking at. So, a broad topic, chickens crossing roads. Why? Why do chickens cross roads? Purpose statement. The purpose of this study is to determine the causes of why chickens cross roads. Research question, version 1. Why did the chicken cross the road? What do you think of this question? Too broad? Correct, too broad. Not specific enough. It relies on qualitative data, which may not be attainable because chickens don't interview well, as we know. Version 2. How many chickens crossed Grattan Street in the period January to July? Is this better? It is, but it's gone the other way. It's too specific. It's closed information. We can answer this with a statistic, a number, very quickly. Let's try again. What are some of the environmental factors that occurred in Parkville between January and July that would cause chickens to cross Grattan Street? We're looking at factors, we're looking at causal factors that occurred in the area in a specific time period. We're starting to get specific. But we're also looking at the why. Why are chickens doing this? But we can measure it, we can investigate it. It gets to the why and investigates the purpose statement of determining why chickens cross roads. Okay, I hope you get the idea about the process, the language, the need to be specific, the need to be relevant. Here are some resources. You can click on those URLs and go to a series of similar type of information which will give you a little bit more idea around developing a research question. Good luck with developing your research question.